In our last session we learned that the apostrophe is not used to make something in the plural. So never again will we sell banana apostrophe s. Next we learned that the apostrophe is used for just one of two things. First of all, to show that we've abbreviated a word, or usually two words next to each other. For example, we might abbreviate the words did not to didn't, with the apostrophe showing exactly where the letters had been removed. It's sometimes used in road signs, so Borough Bridge becomes Borough Bridge. And on occasions it's used in logos. In this session we're going to look at the remaining use for apostrophes, and that is to show possession. And we're going to look at some rat traps waiting to catch us out. Okay, before we go any further, I must ask you to get out a bottle of your favourite tipple, your favourite smoke, or even adopt your preferred yoga position. This is going to be incredibly boring. Not difficult, just mind-numbingly boring. Apostrophes are used to show that something belongs to or is connected with something else. We usually do this by adding an apostrophe and the letter S at the end of the word. It's easier to give you some examples than it is to explain. So the girl's books, the apostrophe S shows that the books belong to the girl. The man's hat, again the apostrophe shows that he owns the hat. The boat's funnel, the country's leader, and so on. The nation's strategy, the strategy is connected with the nation. Each time the apostrophe S demonstrated that someone or something owned something else. Easy, isn't it? Well, there's unfortunately an extra complication. Sometimes we put the apostrophe after the letter S, and we do that to show that more than one person or thing does the owning. So if the girl's books, apostrophe before the S, means that the books belong to one girl, then the girl's books, apostrophe after the S, means that the books belong to a group of girls. Similarly, the nation's strategy before the S refers to a strategy pursued by a single nation, whereas the nation's strategy after the S refers to a strategy shared by a number of nations, the United Nations perhaps. You're going to need something special now because the pain doesn't end. There are some rat traps waiting to catch you out. First of all, its and its. Life isn't easy, and I said that the apostrophe is often used to denote ownership, but some words already denote ownership. Words like his, her, their, my, and so on. And in English there are two very similar looking words, its and its, one with, one without an apostrophe. Its without the apostrophe is a word in its own right. It's an ownership word like my. So for example, we may say of a nation, its culture is very interesting. The culture is owned by the nation, but we don't need an apostrophe there because it's already an ownership word. It's with an apostrophe is an abbreviation of it is. The apostrophe shows us where the letters have disappeared. For example, it's cold tonight. It is cold tonight. Fortunately, there's a very simple test that will make sure you never get it wrong. Whenever you're not sure, just say the sentence out loud, saying it is, and if the sentence sounds right, you use an apostrophe. If it sounds wrong, you don't use one. Let's give it a try. Here's a sentence. The chameleon closed its eyes. If we now do our out loud exercise, the chameleon closed its eyes, that's nonsense. So we don't use an apostrophe. It works every time. Let's try another. Do not go in there, it's dangerous. Now let's say that out loud. Do not go in there, it is dangerous. That makes sense. So it does need an apostrophe. More confusion. There are two remaining rat traps, your and your, whose and whose. Your with an apostrophe is an abbreviation. For example, you are late. Your without an apostrophe is ownership. Your book is open. Whose with an apostrophe is an abbreviation. Who is there? Whose is ownership. That's where there isn't an apostrophe, such as whose book is this? The same saying it out loud test works just as well with these two words. I'm sorry if all that was tedious, but it really does have to be mastered. I suggest you now download and print off the notes so that you can use them in future as a quick reference. You don't want to have to keep coming back to this video.